Hey guys, welcome back to Delving into the Cult. This is Dee. This is our second week of Dark Happenings month. We're going to talk about the Natalie Woods case today, and like I did last week, I will make an announcement at the end of the episode about what next week's episode will be. So let's just get into it. Natalie Woods was born and I'm totally going to mess this name up, but I'm going to try. Natalia Nikolaevna Zakarenko? I don't know. I'm sorry. On July 20th, 1938. She was born to Russian parents in San Francisco. And she was a child star. She started acting at the age of 4. And she had quite a few big name movies on her filmography. She had 3 Oscar nominations before the age of 25. A few of the movies that she's famous for is Miracle on 34th Street, Rebel Without a Cause, The Searchers, and West Side Story. She left Hollywood in the 70s to be a wife and mother, and during the 70s, I think she only made 3 movies, so compared to the rest of her life, that was a huge cut compared to previous decades. She married Robert Wagner. She actually married him twice. She married him, divorced him, married somebody else, divorced that guy, and married Robert Wagner again. And Wagner was 8 years older than her. She briefly dated Elvis Presley, and then she eventually, between marrying Robert Wagner twice, she married Richard Gregson, who was a producer, and they had a daughter named Natasha. She split up with Gregson after she began suspecting him of infidelity with his secretary. She called them on the phone, and she didn't think that it was appropriate, the things they were saying, and she filed for divorce. Now, that is just kind of a bit of backstory on her. Most people know who Natalie Woods is, but if not, that's kind of a rundown of who she is. Now, let's talk about her death. It happened on November the 28th or early November the 29th, 1981, near Catalina Island. She was on a yacht with her husband, Robert Wagner, her friend and co-star Christopher Walken, and the captain of the boat, Dennis Davern. The name of the yacht was the Splendor. Now, she was found around 8 a.m. November the 29th near a small inflatable dinghy, and she was a mile away from the boat. She was wearing a down coat, a flannel nightgown, and knee-high socks, which November and on the open water, it's going to be cold. So it's already strange to me that that's all she had on. Now let's talk about her autopsy. The autopsy revealed bruises on her arms, an abrasion on her left cheek, a high blood alcohol limit of 0.14, which was over the legal driving limit in California at the time. She also had motion sickness, medicine, and painkillers in her system at the time. Now, initially, it was ruled an accidental drowning and hypothermia death, but in 2011, I believe it was, it could have been 2013. Anyway, ME at the time reopened the the autopsy report and looked at it again, and he determined that it may not be accidental, so he labeled it was in 2012, as undetermined factors leading to drowning. And he also stated that she was on a particular type of medicine that could have led to the bruises that she had. So it's impossible to say whether she obtained the bruises before she went into the water or during the time that she went into the water. Now let's talk about why this case is suspicious. Natalie was terrified of the water. Her sister stated that she would have never gone out on that dinghy by herself, especially late at night, especially if she was drunk, because she was terrified of water, and she had been for her entire life. So it didn't make sense for her to be out there on the dinghy by herself. She wouldn't have left the boat. I mean, she was clearly on motion sickness medicine, so why would she get off and get onto an even rockier boat? Doesn't make sense to me. It's also, Wagner admitted that they had a fight that night, and a woman's screams were heard by people on a boat that was nearby. Now, in 2011, Captain Danvern came forward and said that the original statement that he gave the police was wrong, that it was a lie, and that what really happened was that Wagner was responsible for her death, and that what happened is Wagner had gotten mad because Natalie Wood was flirting with Christopher Walken. Davern also claimed that Wagner wouldn't let him use searchlights or notify the police about her disappearance. And if any of that's true, that's very suspicious. And I feel like you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, though, because he waited, 30 years to come forward? And that just seems suspicious in and of itself, waiting that long. If you knew that this woman was killed by her husband, why would you wait 30 years? But I mean, people have all kinds of reasons to come forward years later. Maybe he didn't have anything to lose now and he did 30 years ago. I don't know. I'm not making excuses for him. I just think that it's weird that he waited so long. And as I said, in 2012, the cause of death was officially changed to drowning by undetermined factors. In 2018, the case was actually reopened in 2013, I believe, but in 2018, Wagner is officially considered a suspect. Wagner has continued to deny the fact that he had anything to do with his wife's death. From everything that I could find, him and Walken haven't really said much about it either way, except for the fact that he denies that he had anything to do with it. Unfortunately, it's a he said situation. Wagner claims not to have any knowledge about what happened. Davern claims that he knows everything that happened because he killed her. We probably will never know 100% the truth, and that's unfortunate. That's all I've got for you this week, guys. It's been a busy week, and I know that I'm a couple of days late getting this in. I try to get them in on Mondays for the Dark Happenings month, but unfortunately I've been working, and so this is the only time I've had available. Next week we're going to be talking about Witch Dance, which is a popular haunted place local to myself, and it will be our haunting week. This week was True Crime Week. Last week was Conspiracy Week. So that's what you guys have to look forward to next.